What if I told you that a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar sitting in an old collection or a family coin jar could be worth more than its face value depending on its condition and whether it has an unusual mint error or variety? Before you spend this coin, make sure you watch this video until the end because we are going to look at the history, design, mint marks, condition and the factors that can make a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar more interesting to collectors. The 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is part of one of the most famous half-dollar series in United States coin history. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy following his assassination in 1963. The design was created by United States Mint chief engraver Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparo. The obverse shows a portrait of President Kennedy while the reverse features the presidential seal with an eagle surrounded by stars. By 1974 the Kennedy half-dollar had already become an important part of American coin collecting. The 1974 issue was produced at several United States mint facilities and collectors can identify the production location by looking for the mint mark. A coin without a mint mark was generally produced at Philadelphia while coins with a D mint mark were produced at Denver and coins with an S mint mark were associated with San Francisco proof production. The 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is made primarily of copper and nickel over a copper core. This is important because the composition is different from the earlier 1964 Kennedy half-dollar which was made from 90% silver. The Kennedy half-dollars produced from 1965 through 1970 were also made with a silver composition while the regular issues beginning in 1971 used a copper-nickel clad composition. Because the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is not a regular 90% silver issue, its value is usually determined by condition, rarity, errors, varieties and collector demand rather than silver content. This means in circulated condition many ordinary 1974 Kennedy half-dollars are generally worth around face value to a modest premium depending on the exact coin and market demand. However, coins in much higher grades can become more interesting to collectors. A coin with strong original luster, sharp details and very little contact damage can bring a higher price than a heavily circulated example. One of the most important things to check is the mint mark. Look near the bottom of the obverse design around the area beneath Kennedy's neck. The mint mark can help identify where the coin was produced. You should also examine the coin carefully for unusual characteristics because mint errors can sometimes make an otherwise common coin much more collectible. Condition is another major factor. Collectors often use grading standards to determine how much wear a coin has. A heavily worn coin may have flattened hair details and noticeable marks while a high-grade coin can show strong detail and attractive original surfaces. Coins that have been preserved in excellent condition can be much more desirable than coins that have spent decades circulating. If you find a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar, do not clean it. This is one of the biggest mistakes new collectors make. Cleaning can leave scratches or unnatural surfaces and can reduce collector interest. Even if the coin looks dirty or dark, the original surface may be important to its value. Instead of polishing the coin, simply handle it carefully by the edges and store it in a proper coin holder. Another thing collectors look for is mint errors. A genuine mint error can sometimes increase the value significantly depending on the type and severity of the error. Possible errors can include unusual strikes, planchet problems, off-center strikes, doubled features or other abnormalities. But be careful because many things that look like errors are actually caused by damage after the coin left the mint. For example, scratches, dents, flattening and unusual marks can happen when coins are dropped, struck by machinery or stored incorrectly. These are not necessarily valuable mint errors. That is why serious collectors often compare the coin with known examples and may have an unusual piece authenticated and graded by a professional grading service. Proof examples are another area collectors may want to investigate. Proof coins were specially produced for collectors and usually have sharper details and more reflective surfaces than ordinary circulation strikes. If you have a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar that appears unusually sharp and has a mirror-like surface, it may be worth checking whether it is a proof issue. The value of a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar therefore depends on several factors including the mint mark, condition, strike quality, surface preservation and whether the coin has a recognized error or variety. The date alone does not guarantee a high value. One of the best ways to identify your coin is to examine both sides under good lighting. Look at the date and mint mark first. Then check Kennedy's portrait for signs of wear. Examine the hair details around the ear and forehead and look for scratches and contact marks across the fields. On the reverse, inspect the eagle star's lettering and overall strike quality. If your coin is extremely clean